Okay, so on to the last leg for the video side of things before we move on to the 4-band equalizer and using it to help out dialogue a little bit. So we're really just going to take a look at the copy here. We just want to bring some of these effects in and manipulate them a touch. So first things first, let's go over where we even find these. And let's talk a little bit about the difference between the standard FX presets and the Fusion presets. So up here in the upper left, I have my magic wand, which says Effects Library. I can click that, and I can click off Media Pool now, because I just want to work with some graphics and effects. And I get a great big list. So by default, you'll be on Toolbox, and I want to go onto Titles. And I get some simple title presets, and then I get Fusion titles, which let us do all kinds of things. So these presets, I can just drag a scrolling title on, and the controls are quite simple. I'm going to mute audio for now, just so it doesn't get in the way. And here I have a kind of a slug. When we bring in an effect like this, it comes in as an edit object. It comes in as a cut, or it could be referred to as a slug. And in the upper right, with my effect slug selected, I want to choose the inspector, the spanner and the paintbrush in the very upper right of the screen. And this actually lets me change all of my title or preset settings. And this is very much like how we put the title on the other things that we did. We put the title on Jim Candy, we put the title on The Silent using much the same method. I can just type some text in here, and I can choose a font, and I can do all kinds of things, change it around, and by default the animation will scale based on how long the slug is in the timeline. If I stretch this out, it will basically, the animation will always fill this edit object. Now that's true for some of the Fusion titles. It is not true for others. This callout, for example, if I wanted to put the callout title here over Jake's intro. Now if I wanted to put the callout title on here, this callout kind of points at something, and I should want him to point towards it, and I think, let's see if I can find the actual point settings down here. So when we open up a more complex effect in the inspector, we have a load of different settings that pertain to this effect. Now these have all been coded in for us by Blackmagic Design. It is possible for people to create presets like this in Fusion and code in these controls here as well. So what I may have to do, I see, is move it around a bit. So up at the top we have controls, user and settings. We have to double click to change between these, and we just have to look at the different effects that we have. I don't seem to get a position of the callout line here, and this is one of the problems with the Fusion titles, is that they don't always give you what you want. Now up here it says title. I could go to settings, at which point I then just get all of the standard controls as if it were any other clip. These are all the other controls that we're used to. So tracking, spacing, okay, line. I can change the color, point rotation. I can't change the position of that point though, so that has somewhat limited application in here. But that does just go to demonstrate the problem with some of these effects. Also, this doesn't have an outro animation. It just blinks off. So let's take a look at a better example. Now I quite like these clean and simple titles, and I think they're a decent enough fit. And I like the idea of having the name down here and their job above, or perhaps vice versa. So we have up here much simpler controls. Now I don't need to worry about where it is. It's coming in from the right hand side. I can just move the whole thing along a little bit. So let's say the small text is, we'll just see how this looks because the small text comes in later, and the big text I will put in Jake. Actually, I like block caps there, so. And we have color controls here as well. And it looks like everything is the same color. So I can change that. I can change size and tracking. I can make Managing Director a little bit bigger. I can make it bold so it kind of fits in a little bit better. I can increase line spacing, tracking between characters. Although I've got to be aware there appears to be a hard edge of the mat up here. If I want to reset to the default, I just click these little dots down here. So I move it off and then just click the dot and it will go back to its default value. I like there being a bit more space in there, and maybe just a bit bigger. Cool. And then in position, I can just go over to settings and I can change the position of it all over here. Now I want to be careful. White on white doesn't really work. So what I might want to do is change the color here. I'd like different colors for different things, but again, this is just placeholder stuff, like the motion graphics artist is going to do this properly. So what I might just do is take a little bit down on the red and green and give us a kind of cyan blue, provided it's easy enough to read. That will be fine. I'm making it blue because it does fit in with the brand colors of projectors quite well. If we go forwards to, where's the life coaching stuff here? We can see they all wear these little pins, and that's actually the Projectus logo. We've got like a navy blue underneath, and we have a lighter blue up there. In actual fact, because we have a bright background, maybe the navy blue would be better here. So I can just click on this, make a darker blue, maybe not quite. Now that doesn't quite work as well in my opinion, so I will, I think, just reset it back to white and then do what I did before. And that light's a little bit awkward. Maybe with the real graphics, what we'll do is we'll put a background, or what the motion graphics artist will do is put a background behind this, and that does get rid of that kind of practical light blaring out the text. But for now, this works just fine. So let's just take a look. So I want it to come in as he begins to look up. So I just want, he's starting to look up there, and I think I'll have it fade before the end of the shot. Now, the golden rule with text is it should be on screen long enough to read 3 times quickly. So, Jake Fleegman, Jake Fleegman, Jake Fleegman, Managing Director, very nearly, so we might just need to stretch this back a little bit. Jake Fleegman, Jake Fleegman, Jake Fleegman, Managing Director, Managing Director, Managing Director. Okay, that's about enough. And that's always the test, is making sure that people can actually read it before it goes away. And that's okay. So I'm going to stick to these 3 clean and simple effects. If you want to explore the other effects down there, by all means go ahead. At this point you can experiment a little bit. My only real agenda here is to try and put some kind of basic placeholder stuff in, just so we can show the client and go, okay, this is the kind of direction it's taking. We're going to send this over to the audio people, we're going to send this over to the graphics people, and then we'll get this finalized. But this is just so that we have something to show for the sake of review. So I'm going to go ahead and with office presence in the US, UK, and Europe. So I think that's enough here. I think we want that. Gives you shares from day 1. And we might just extend it back, so Now I'm running into a problem here because I think what I have is the edge of the mask, and that's going to be difficult to deal with. Because if I just type in a single letter, that's kind of where the mask is in the setting, and within these simple settings I don't have a way of controlling that. So I just have to work within that. And what I could do instead is use a different version. We've got this header, and that could maybe do a better job here, because I've got the upper text here, and I could just say office presence, and I'm going to have to make that a bit smaller to fit. And I'll probably have to make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't seem out of place. Cool, and what I want to do is I want to go down here and I want to save this as a custom color. So if I just, and this is the Windows interface, there will be something suitably similar in the Mac interface. I just hit add to custom colors and it gets saved up here. So now what I can do in the next one, I can go to color and the custom colors is right there. I can make sure that I'm using the same color across all of my graphics in this piece. So let's just turn the music back on and see what we think.
Using groundbreaking technology. We also work in a fun and vibrant complex near Covent Garden with a huge emphasis on socialising. One of the unique things about our business is every single employee gets share options on day one.
So we've got another one. We're going to have to work within the confines of the style that we've chosen. So if I just say we'll just have to shrink, oops. This one gives me a bit more, so small text. And I might have to be a little bit creative with the copy here to get it all to fit.
This means you're personally invested.
And we can go ahead and do that as well. And let's just see how this is coming along.
Every single day using groundbreaking technology. We also work in a fun and vibrant complex near Covent Garden with a huge emphasis on socialising. One of the unique things about our business is every single employee gets share options on day one. This means you're personally invested in the success of our business.
I love the fact that we are a niche business company.
And then Sarah needs an introduction. And I think maybe the big one here as well.
Multinational company.
Oops. Need to make sure I have the right one selected. And I think maybe not, because it's going to go over into the next one. We're not going to get all of that copy to fit into this preset, so... I'm just going to have to say something like international consultant, I think. Let's see if that fits in. I'm going to make that a bit smaller because it looks a little bit odd. Maybe that's not super easy to read. Nope, that doesn't make it any better. One thing in the Windows version is that Command and Z or Control Z doesn't actually undo a change you've made to color. So this probably needs a bit of a background. What we can do here is just put a note on this and say needs a background, difficult to read against Sarah's hand. Again, this is just placeholder stuff. We're not being super serious about these graphics because we're going to hand this over to someone to finish the job. Or we might go and pick a different one. I mean, that's a bit cheap looking. You know, there are lower thirds we can use like this, which have backgrounds as well. There are all kinds of different things that we can use. You can go ahead and you can experiment with these. If you think you find one that's a better fit, then by all means go ahead. But we're just going to keep it simple for now. It's just getting some placeholder stuff in there.
Company which are treated like numbers. We all understand recruitment. We leave recruitment.
Medical device arena is very exciting.
So again, and we're really just going to go through and check all of these boxes. We're not going to do anything too flash or grand, and then we're going to move on to our audio pass. So another one of these. This one. I thought duck meant badger, but I don't know.
There are constantly new startups coming into the market, new products, new technologies, and it's absolutely amazing. Our goal is to become #1 in the world for medical recruitment.
Okay, Bernard, even though I'm not super happy with the shot, we'll just deal with it. And it doesn't quite have as long. I'll still give him a little bit of breathing room. And Bernard Fitzgerald. Let's just see if that fits in. Yeah, and he's a sales manager, isn't he? Let's see how this works.
I'll go for either a beer or a coffee with both clients and candidates to really understand.
Now that shirt really gets in the way, so we're definitely going to need a backing there to help. Because no one color's going to work here. We go from a darker background on the grey suit to a bright background on the shirt collar. So if we do something with a background or with a shape, so if instead we did text over shape, then that would be a better fit, although I don't like that style. Again, this is just kind of placeholder stuff, so what we'll do is we'll put a collar has 2 L's, so we'll just put a note on there. That way when it comes to handing this over, they can see, and we can just write these notes down and say, okay, we want to make sure that these have backings on them, because looking at a transparent text effect, it doesn't work too well because of that issue. But that's fine. Again, just placeholders, and we're really just looking at kind of playing around with a few of these settings here. What's next? Positive impact, 30 to 50% uncapped, placeholder images, and professionally supported, and then that's pretty much it. So this isn't going to take too long. So we want positive impact. On here we can just have I will keep my graphics on the third track as well. It's always good practice. And again, the white shirt is interfering there a little bit as well. Cool, there we go. To shift that, I might just move the X position over to the left a little bit. And here we have a little bit more, so let's put this back in again, because it's a bit more of a... And we want it to kind of linger on there. This is a big deal, so... Now I can just click and drag over here. Now we're going to have a lot of problems with the bright up there, so we're going to definitely need a backing on this, but let's just see what we can do with colour. Because if it's bright, it's going to be difficult to read. And then I'll have it bold up here. Okay, and that is really not looking good. So what we could do... I mean, this text over shape thing... I just want text with a backing. Nah. Just want to keep it simple, just use basic presets for now. So... There's not a huge amount that really fits here. So let's see if we can change tack. Maybe if we just make it a very dark colour. Okay, that's easy enough to read. This little dark pillar makes that difficult, but the rest of it is pretty obvious. There isn't really a preset that fits particularly well there. So what I might just do is use this lower third with the shape on it, because that is a problem otherwise. And we might just up the size of both of these and change the background colours a little bit. Oh, okay, fine, I have to use a different setting. All these annoying... And this is why I don't like using the Fusion presets very much. There we go, and I might just tweak the colours. Now the logo, let's just take a look at the logo pin so I can get this right. Is lighter up top, darker down below, so... And we'll change that around Tell you what we can do though is we can make it black on a white background, white on a dark background. That'll make it much easier because we of course perceive all detail through forms of contrast.
as well.
There are a huge amount of benefits to working with the CRO projectors. For instance, we have a clear, structured commission scheme that pays between 30 and 50%.
And we'll just add a note here for the graphics people. That also lets them know that this graphic is supposed to go over these two shots. It needs to stay there whilst Jake is talking.
For instance, we have a clear, structured commission scheme that pays between 30 and 50% uncapped. This helps our employees.
And we've got a bit of a change in
Positive.
style, but that's just because we've had to do that to make this work. And what I imagine is, a kind of S-curve animation of solid colors coming on with some text swooshing on from the side or something.
So in addition to the award-winning
So we have logo placeholders that we need to put up there. So I'm just going to use a generator for this, and I have to stack up a few generators to do this. Now the generator will just fill the image with the solid color. If I go into settings, what I can do is I can crop it. I can just use the crop here to make a little solid shape that's got fill, and then just kind of scoot it down here. And then I will need to just put some text on there that says like logo, and then I want a little animation up here, so maybe I'll put that down a little bit lower. And I'm just going to have to stack this up on a few to make this work. And I want these two up here. This is a little bit untidy, but it'll work. And then I really just want to offset this. There's a second one, because there's kind of two logo images due here. And then a little title, which says like award-winning training. And I'll just put a last, oops, I've overwritten it. I'll just put a last little title up here. And we'll have to shrink it down a bit so it doesn't get in the way.
to the award-winning recruitment training platform we have.
So we're just blocking out where two logos might go, and then there's a little bit of a widget up there to help out with that. Now again, that's not working too well, just like last time, so I might actually just use just something with a backing. That might do. It's primitive, but that might do the job. And okay, there's not much formatting there, so I might just have to cheat it and put that down there. And I'm just going to scale the size down. There we go. So at least we have something legible up there. We get a kind of a rough blocking out of what
So
we
in addition
need.
to the award,
And I might just change. Okay, there's clearly some kind of blend mode going on there. So I'll just leave it at that. I can round the edges, not that it makes any real difference. So we just get some stuff in place and we get an idea of where that's going to go when the graphics people get hold of it. And then I've got... Yes, we've got a problem here. We've got professionally supported. Maybe this isn't going to be too bad. If we just use something with a bit of a backing down here, we can just put professionally supported down here, and I think it might even just be on this shot. Let's see how that works. You can do that again.
We're really supported here, projectors, both
And we can just change that to have a bit more of the right color.
We're really supported here, projectors, both personally and professionally. We have an experienced business coach that comes in every 2 weeks to help us achieve our business targets and help you really understand what it is that you need to do to become successful. In addition to this, we also have a life coach that comes in and support.
Okay, so again, these aren't masterpieces and they're not meant to be. They're not supposed to be like these big complex graphic projects. They're just, like I said, little placeholders that give a kind of a timing guide and a slight style guide to the graphics people who are then going to actually, you know, either the edit. Well, what happened here is the editor went out and bought some After Effects templates, but they don't work within Fusion or Resolve. So we're going to pretend that we're going to pass this over to motion graphic artist, and they're going to finish the job there and send back files that we'll just online later on. So we are essentially there with the kind of Fusion presets. They're pretty primitive. They are pretty limited. You know, maybe at the start of a festival film, this might fly. I wouldn't recommend making a habit of using these at all. They're just kind of there to show what's going on in Fusion. We're not actually going to go into the Fusion interface, but if we do have one of these selected and we can go into the Fusion interface, then actually you can see how everything has been built. We're not going to go into how Fusion actually works, but if you have the interest to research Fusion on your own, you can actually go into these settings and change all kinds of details on your own to make them fit. I will get around to making a Fusion course. It's just difficult to get VFX material to teach because I can get entire corporate edits in festival films, but when it comes to effects or graphics projects, clients are really cagey about them being taught with for some reason. I don't know why. So, cool. We are pretty much done here at third pass, and all that really remains is for us to go through and to take a look at the 4-band equalizer and take a look at normalizing. We're going to do a fairly simple audio pass. Now that the music is in here, a lot of the background noise is kind of hidden. So we're really going to focus on looking at the 4-band equalizer for dialogue, and then we're just going to kind of normalize the dialogue, try and get it close to peaking at 12, and then we will call it a day for this one. So click on through to the next lecture.